So now we're going to do the fun part, which is build the interface. So I'm going to click back to home, go to apps, and I'm going to create a new interface. And I'll choose the blank template, and we'll leave create a production application and a staging application both selected. And we'll change the title to MMA Fighters website, I guess. We'll just call it MMA Fighters. We'll click confirm. And here we have a blank screen. That's because we chose the blank template. So what I want to do first is click add blocks, and we'll add the dynamic list block into the body over here, and choose the content type, and we'll select fighter just here. And now nothing has displayed on the screen. And the reason for that is our MMA Fighters website up here doesn't actually have permission to load fighters. So we're going to have to click edit over here, click permissions, choose this website visitor role that's been created, and we just want to tick fighter. We want the site to be able to view any fighters. We'll view the title, the slug, so that we can link to it. What else do we need? First name, last name, the weight class or division, and we'll load the statistics as well. So, and the photo and the biography. So we'll hit save on that. So it now should be able to view all the stuff that we needed to view. We'll hit save, and we'll just hit the refresh preview, and we should get our list of fighters, which there they are. Now I'm going to click add blocks. Just going to add this website section block, which just means like I've got an area I can put this in, gives us a bit of padding. So now, it gives us a bit of padding up and down there. This block allows us to kind of change change the way that it looks. I'm going to click back on my dynamic list block over here, and we've got our content type fighter, and we want to sort by probably the first name. So we'll sort by alphabetical, which looks like it kind of already is there. And then down here we've got our template. Now we don't just want to spit out a list. What we want to do is spit out these cards, which was part of what the person wants to do, like this fighter cards thing. So we'll change this to a div. Actually, we'll click help over here, go to the UI kit documentation, and we'll use the flex row so that we can just quickly have some flexbox cells like this, and we'll change these li tags to flex cell, and now those names should sit next to each other. We can get rid of these extra columns over here. So that looks good. We've got these sitting next to each other, all right. And I'm just going to go inside here, and we're going to add a pre-tag, and I'm just going to spit out the item. I might have to hit refresh because it might not look too good there. Okay, so you can see here we've got the title and the slug and the ID. One of the things we also want to do is get some extra details up here, so we can also get the fields that we want to select. So we want the first name, the last name, the photo, and then the weight class. And you'll see as I select those, it's gone and loaded that extra data because this app has permission to do that. And we've got these spitting out this pre-tag. Now we want to build a card that looks really cool that we can reuse across the website. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. We're going to click components over here. We're going to create a new component, and we're going to call this fighter card. And in here, I'm just going to put a div, and we're going to write fighter card. And over here in our dynamic list, which is this component on the screen here, the block on the screen, we're going to write fighter card, and we want to pass in the item in here. So we're going to call this item, we might just call this fighter, and we're going to pass that in. I'm going to get that pre tag over here, put it in here, change this to fighter, and add a prop. It's going to be a type object, so we're writing in Vue.js now, and now you can see that it's going to spit out of here, and we can change these templates over here, and it'll change what the card looks like. Now that doesn't look too exciting, but let's go another few steps ahead, and we'll go over here and start designing our card. So one of the things I want to do is make it so that it links to a detail page for that fighter. So I'm going to adjust this code up here, and we'll close this up here. Now we want to link to a new route. Don't worry about this because it's just complaining about some other stuff at the moment. So we'll change this UX link. So that's also a link element, which allows us to link to other routes in our application. And what we'll do is create a new route. We'll call it fighter, and it can be a URL like that. We'll go back to our home page, and we'll fix up this error, which is just complaining that there's no item.meta. That's because we don't have an item, we have a fighter, which is our prop in here. We can just click this button, should fix up the issue. There we go. And now when we click this, if we click any one of these things, it'll actually take us to that other route. And I haven't done super well, but let's just update this. So we'll spit out the fighter. So we've got our meta abs, yep, there, and the route name over here. We need to update that to whatever our route was called. What was it called? Fighter. So we'll go back here and call this fighter. And now if we click any of these things over here, it will take us to the fighter route. And we go back here. Now that's still not that exciting. Let's make it look cool. So what we'll need is our photo, which we have here. We can go to our UI documentation, get our image element over here, a UX image, and we're going to pass through the item for the image is going to be the fighter.data.photo, which I think was right. And there we go. Now we've got our photos above our cards, which is great. And now we want to spit out some text, so we'll do a div. We'll call this a text. We'll put a h5 here, and we'll do fighter.data.firstname, and then fighter.data.lastname. And you'll see that we're spitting it out in the h5 there as these cards all update, which is cool. And we can probably get rid of this pre-tag now, and get rid of some of this stuff here as well. Now we have our fighter card, which is cool. We can add some CSS to style it too, so we can add a border radius of maybe 1 EM, put a background of black, do a display block because a link usually isn't, so we'll just hit refresh over here. There we go. And now just want to test that this is updating. Yep, cool. So we can go black. I don't like that's a bit too much rounded corners for me, for my liking. We'll do 0.5. Okay, cool. And we'll do position relative, and we'll do color can be white. And because we've got some styles for our headings in our main styles over here that change the color to be gray, we'll get rid of that. We'll go back to our component over here, and we'll add a bit of padding too. So we'll go padding 1 EM, maybe 3 EM, 2 EM, that'll be good. 1 EM on the sides, and then none on the bottom. And this text area, we actually kind of want to sit over the top of this. So we'll just add a class.text. We'll do position absolute, bottom 0, right 0, left 0. And we'll add some padding on this too, 1 EM. We'll do a background. What does that look like? Red. Let's do a linear gradient in CSS. We'll start with black and go to transparent. That's around the wrong way. We actually want to start with transparent at the top and black at the bottom. And maybe we just add some extra text in here. So what other text do we have? Put a pre-tag in here. Fighter.data. What have we got? Weight class. That'll look cool underneath there. Not in the pre-tag though. We'll do the H6 and see what that looks like. There we go. And our image, what we might do is UX image opacity 0.5. So they're see-through. And then we'll add a hover class. So just using SCSS to say that when you hover over this item, we want the UX image to be opacity 1. And we'll add a transition, opacity to be 0.3 seconds. And now when you roll over them, you'll get this cool kind of highlight. And what we can also do is change the opacity of our text to be 0, and also add a transform, which we translate Y. We'll do 50 pixels, and we'll do a transition all 0.4 seconds. And down here, we'll do our text. Opacity can be 1 when you've rolled over, and our transform translate Y can be 0. And now when we roll over, you'll see that it's pulling that thing up. Now, we don't actually want to see it come out of the card like that. So we'll go back to our card, CSS, and we'll add overflow hidden. And now we've got these cool kind of cards. Now I'm going to hit save because it's always good to hit save. Now when I click each one of these, it's going to take me to this fighter route, and I want to show a profile of that fighter. But at the moment, they're all just linking to that same route. So what I'm going to do is edit this route, and we're going to add an extra parameter into the URL, and we'll add a colon. So this is going to be a dynamic parameter. We'll call this slug, and we'll click confirm. And now if we click this guy, it's actually going to add the slug. So it's recognized that this is a dynamic route, and it's going to pass through whatever we clicked. And over here, we can now add